Episode 3, starting at the year 2000, and sound art is established and exploding. In fact, it's such a part of contemporary art practice that they call this period of time the sonic boom. The art world catches on to the notion that hearing can be another way of looking at and exploring the world. Curators and major galleries are on board. Way more exhibitions focus on sound art as a concept. From 1970 to 1979, there were only 21 shows with sound art as its focus. From the years 2000 to 2009, there were 128 shows. And in big exhibition spaces like the Tate, London, the MoMA, the Venice Biennale. Academia also joins on board and says, hey, you can get a degree and a postdoctorate degree in sound art as a contemporary art form. And even major art awards are being given to sound artists in areas where normally only visual artists would have gotten the award. In the year 2010, the Turner Prize, a major contemporary art award, went to the sound artist Susan Phillips for this piece. The evocative and stirring piece called Lowlands is situated under 3 bridges on the River Clyde in the Scottish city of Glasgow. Susan Phillips uses her untrained, unaccompanied voice as a piece of sculpture. She records her voice in 3 different versions of the song, one for each bridge. And because the bridges are so close together, the sounds often commingle and strengthen at certain points of the song. Although I'm using the word song, this piece is not about music. It's about the power of voice to create a memory and evoke an emotion in a specific space. Take a listen to how it sounds. Winning major art awards, acknowledged by academia, taking up space at exhibits, sound art is disrupting art's ocular-centric way of interacting with the world. It's just not collectible yet, because how do you buy sound? But that's how sound art lines up nicely with contemporary art thought. Sound art dematerializes the object. There's nothing there, you just listen. And sound art decommodifies art. You can't own it. It's got a democratic feel to it, don't you think? So today, let's take a look at sound art's most dematerialized, most decommodified formats, starting with one that is purely experiential. The term soundwalk was coined by our local sound artist, R. Murray Schaefer, and it's exactly as it sounds. As you're walking in an area, you deeply listen. Where the artist gets involved is that they guide you on your listening journey. Here's our first soundwalk artist, Akio Suzuki. He was trained as an architect, and in fact, he does see sound as a spatial phenomenon. Since 2005, he's been creating city walks. He goes ahead of us, and he finds what he calls autodate, or listening points. He unveils public spaces that are lying dormant that have exceptional sonic phenomena. And then he marks them with this stencil that is part foot, part ear. And he produces a map. And he says, if you stand in those spots and listen carefully, you will hear something special. Suzuki's notes direct you, saying, here, at this autodata, the street is 100 meters long and curved. Because it is quiet, the sounds are collected in the very apex of the curve. If Akio Suzuki were to come to Port Hope, what would he say about our listening spots? I betcha he would have so much fun with the bandshell at Memorial Park. Our second example of a sound walk artist, Christina Kubish, digs a little deeper. For her sound walk, you have to wear a special set of headphones as you walk around. Are super special and super sensitive headphones that amplify and make audible all the electromagnetic fields that are around you. An electromagnetic field is created by anything that works off electricity. You are rarely not near one. In fact, when you put on these headphones, it's hard to isolate just one electromagnetic field. The sounds are so ubiquitous. Here's some examples of the kinds of noises you might hear on one of Kubish's electrical walks. Sorry, that ticket machine hurts a little bit, doesn't it? So when you walk around, you're picking up all these noises and you become a bit of a composer, mixing electromagnetic fields just by choosing the space your body enters. Is this public sound or is this private sound? That's an interesting question. Because soundwalk thinkers like to grapple with this idea of public sound, but a very private experience. In fact, another soundwalk artist slash thinker, a woman named Allie Martin, who lives in Washington, D.C., is doing her doctoral thesis on this concept. Allie Martin makes daily soundwalks as part of her artistic practice and looks at it through the lens of a Black woman. She walks around the Shaw neighborhood of Washington, D.C., which is becoming gentrified, but was previously a very Black neighborhood. And Black culture was a huge part of the soundscape of that space. She's noting the shifts, the coffee shops, the bike lanes, the change of what she's hearing. And she's wondering, how does that make her feel? Is she still welcome here? Does she still feel safe here? Public sounds, very private, very personal experience. So there are 3 experiences where there's no product. It's just the ephemeral nature of sound and you being more aware of it. Let's take the natural next step in our sound walks. No pun intended. If you record a sound walk or a sound experience, it becomes a phonographic walk. Captured sound can be studied sound, and listening becomes a part of understanding something more deeply. Wait a minute. If we're talking recording, that means we get to talk about the new technology that makes the sonic boom happen. We're going digital, baby. That's right, we're leaving analog behind, and audio signals are now encoded electronically. That means the sound purity isn't lost over generations, no degradation. There's no need for physical copies. It means you can play around with it on multi-channel experiences and manipulate it with a computer. You can use your cell phone to access the sound and record. Media versatility helps with that sonic boom. So let's look at some artists that use this new technology of digital audio to do field recording work. Fiona Daren works with audio environments that are incredibly hard for humans to access, the far north, underwater. She amplifies sounds that we would not normally hear, and we become aware of our environmental impact on the world as a result. In Vendaren's The Listener, she records under the water with special audio equipment to listen to the sounds of a specific insect, the lesser water boatman. This insect submerges itself underwater by attaching an air bubble to its abdomen, which may in fact be amplifying the sound it makes while underwater. In recording and analyzing the sounds of this insect in the water, we can determine the overall health and quality of the water itself. Here's what the lesser boatman has to say, according to Fiona Daren's recordings. The field recording artist Kathy Lane, over in the UK, works with sounds that are more readily available. In fact, you can find them in your kitchen in the piece we're going to look at, which is called The Pickle Jar is Her Home. In this piece, Kathy Lane is looking at how food and sound art have a lot in common. They're both ephemeral. They both deal with verbs like mixing, blending, cutting, slicing. What she's doing here is she's going to take sounds from both England's kitchens and the colonized by England country of India's kitchens, and she's going to blend them. And in putting these two locations together through sound, what she's really doing is getting us to look at the politics of colonialism through something as simple as food.
Dice with a blue celery, and then you put the pasta in a pan. You make the mixture and then you put it by frying onions,
stick them in fry them to brown,
like seeds,
stick the tomato puree in.
coriander,
We'll leave off today with a field recording piece by Canadian sound artists Janet Cardiff and her partner George Burrs Miller. But when I say the name Janet Cardiff, I immediately think of the 40-piece motet that we have in the permanent collection at the National Art Gallery in Ottawa. When it's open, you go listen to that. Bring tissues, because it's very moving. The Cardiff and Miller piece I'm going to talk about is called Forest for 1,000 Years. To hear it, you enter into a clearing in a redwood forest on the west coast and you sit on a stump. There are 30 speakers around you that are giving you sound experiences in a three-dimensional fashion. The sounds you're hearing are the sounds that the forest might have heard over the history of its lifetime, over 1,000 years, say. Some of those sounds are quite natural, like these. And in some of them, you can hear where humankind has infiltrated the forest, like these. That three-dimensional sound field that's surrounding you in this piece is coupled with the live sounds and the sound walking experience you're having of the forest simultaneously. What is live? What is recorded? Both of our sound experiences this week come together nicely in this piece. Next week, we'll look at the other formats sound art can take besides sound walking and field recording. It can shapeshift into installations and sculptural pieces and have video components added to it. And all of them hopefully are going to look at the socio-political ramifications of sound in our world. We'll see you then.